Hey there, my friend. It's Dr. Anthony Balduzzi, and I want to welcome you back to another episode here on the Fit Father Project podcast. And boy, do we have an amazing episode for you today because we are welcoming one of our very own Fit Father brothers, Steve Scherf, onto this conversation to share his experience using FF30X in his early 40s to drop over 25 pounds, get in fantastic shape, dramatically improve his blood work numbers, get rid of his allergies, and just set himself up for a really bright future to be there for his kids and his family. He has a son who's in teenage years and who's really athletic. And now, Steve is getting to be an athlete himself, which is so cool. And that's not to say that his journey was easy. As Steve recounts, he had some challenges that, really set him back in some sense from exercise, like some back pain that it took him a while to figure out. So I think this is one of those stories of triumph and persistence where you can listen to a man who decided to join this program because he genuinely wanted to make a change and knew he was going in a bad direction, and then still had to fight through and battle through some nagging stuff. But he's now on the other side of this thing, feeling good, still kicking butt, staying consistent. He shares a lot of just inspiration with his dedication to his nutrition, how he gets his workouts in, and his mindset at the very end. And what he shares there, I think, is very powerful. So, Steve, congratulations, brother, on making an amazing transformation. I'm excited for your continued progress inside Old School Muscle into our entire brotherhood. It's just such a privilege that we get to experience these stories and lift one another up and celebrate. So let's welcome Fit Father Steve to the podcast and get into an amazing episode. All right, Steve, welcome officially to the Fit Father Project podcast, my friend. I'm so happy you're here.
All right, thank you for having me.
I would love for you to kick things off and introduce yourself, your name, your age, where you're from, and anything you'd like to share about your work and your family.
Yes, I'm 43 years old. I reside in Racine, Wisconsin, which is about 30 minutes south of Milwaukee. And I am married 14 years, and raised two kids. I have a 13-year-old son and a 19-year-old stepdaughter. I do commercial heating, air conditioning, ventilation service. So my job requires me to be quite active and, have some muscle sometimes to move stuff around. So this has been a great program for me to maintain that so I can keep up with the younger guys at work.
Yeah, I bet it has. It's probably pretty cool that you're in much better shape, and that translates to being able to do some things that are just a little easier now.
Absolutely.
So, Steve, take us back to before you started the program. What was going on with your health and in your life, and what prompted you to check out the Fit Father Project?
Well, I was kind of that skinny kid growing up. I could pretty much eat anything. I was, always made aware, and my parents and grandparents were always very proud of me for being part of the Clean Your Plate Club. So I always liked to eat a lot. I've always had a sweet tooth. And I never really had a problem until I'd say about mid-20s or so. Shortly after got married, started having kids, you kind of fall into that pattern. Life gets a little busier and you don't have as much time to take care of yourself. Anyways, mid-20s to, October 4th of 2021. And August of 2021, we had our official first COVID bout or debut or whatever you want to call it with my family. And I never really drank a ton of soda or even, most of my lunches on a daily basis, like make a lunch. I wasn't big into that fast food, but I occasionally, eat out. Anyways, through COVID, I gave away my at least one a day, soda that I'd have with my lunch. And I didn't drink any for a week, and I'm like, well, why start back? So then we get into end of September, October, and sometimes when I'm at work, especially during some of the slower periods, I might pull over at a park and kind of do some paperwork, catch up on a few things. And I was looking on my phone at something, and all of a sudden, I don't think I was on Facebook, but your Fit Father program popped up, and it really caught my interest. Kind of looked into starting the 30-day program right away. They're running the introductory rate of $90-some for a 30-day program. And I'm like, what do I got to lose? I really need to do something. I've always worked out here and there, but I've always struggled with knowing exactly what to do. Like, I know you should work out in your arms one day and your legs the other day, back a day, kind of rotate around so you're not, overdoing certain muscles. But I never really had a plan in place or anything of structure. So that's what I really enjoy about your program is the structure and also the eating habits. The nutrition end of it is something that I never really looked into either. I've always ate very healthy, but I was definitely needed to lose a good 20, 30 pounds. The other thing I noticed during COVID and whatnot is I was actually getting a little bicep soreness with even just brushing my teeth, and it seemed very odd. And I'm like, I really need to start taking better care of myself because I'm going to lead down that path that nobody wants to go down if I don't get caught up here. So that's when I followed the program in October 2021, and jumped in right away. Did the nutrition and the low carb breakfast. Eventually got into the super fuel, the Fit Father super fuel. I still make the Green Monster shake 98% every morning. I love that shake. I've tried many of the other ones, and that one is what I always keep coming back to that one.
Nice. That's awesome. So I want you to take us through what kind of changes did you make to your nutrition when you hopped on the plan and read the meal plan? So walk us through maybe what you were doing before and then what you changed and switched to when you got into phase one.
So before, again, I wasn't, very unhealthy eater, but I probably ate more than I should have eaten. And I would typically do cereal, eggs, bacon, sausage, something like that for breakfast. So sometimes if, I was on the run, I might stop at, McDonald's and grab a sausage, egg, biscuit or something like that. And the problem is whenever I ate McDonald's or I shouldn't say, any fast food, I felt like crap. So I typically would try not to do that, but I'd occasionally indulge in some donuts and stuff like that, which from time to time I'll have just a little bite or something. But I've been doing very well at just pushing that stuff aside because that's what got me to where I was in the first place, and I don't want to go back. So that would be breakfast, and then
nice.
Now doing the the super fuel breakfast shakes, and then I'll do my intermittent fasting just according to the plan. Next meal around lunchtime, typically around noon or so. And that same thing with that. I'll just about probably 98% of the time since October of 2021, even during the time that I didn't really get my workouts in because of back issue that I was having, which I'm sure we'll dive into that a little bit here. I would do the sandwich, and I still enjoy that sandwich every day. I do the sandwich in orange, and because I have a sweet tooth I just can't get rid of, I'll do the dark, about 85% dark chocolate, just a little square, just to satisfy that urge. And usually I'll finish with a cup of coffee, and the rest is, of course, wake up, I drink my 2 glasses of water, and don't have any issue with water. I'm fortunate. I know there's a lot of people out there, and including my stepdaughter, that she does not like water. We used to try to get her to drink water all the time. She was a cheerleader, and obviously she needed that for keep herself healthy too. And there's a lot of people out there that they can't stomach the water. There's no taste to it, and I'm very blessed that I like water, and I can drink water all day long. So we start, with that. I do my mid-afternoon snack, almonds, apple, just about every day. And then after that, we will do my perfect plate dinner as much as possible. I've always kind of been the head chef of the house. So everybody pretty much eats what I make, and nobody's really complained. Everybody likes the meals. We do a lot of chicken and, anything we can mix up to make it a little healthier option. Even my son, he doesn't eat the broccoli and stuff or the Brussels sprouts, but he likes his carrots, and I'll do a healthy carb, and I'll make him a regular baked potato because, he's an athlete. He can eat all that stuff and burn it off in probably 15 minutes. So.
Nice.
That's pretty much the meal side of it.
It sounds like you're really dialed in with that. There's a lot of consistency there. That's really good to hear.
Yes. And the first 60 days, I didn't venture off, really didn't do any of the free meals or anything. And I still I guess here and there I'll have a little something that's not, per the plan, but I definitely don't ever go overboard, and I don't always get my free meal every week, but sometimes, so I guess the nutrition is, it's taught me to, eat as well as you can. But I'd say probably 95% of the time I'm sticking to the actual nutrition plan.
Nice. Let's turn our focus and talk about exercise. I mean, you had an idea, as you were describing before, that you need to do certain things with your workouts, and then you get into FF30X phase 1, and it's a very structured approach with the Apex, maybe with the big fives. What was it like? Just basically tell me about your exercise journey. And it sounds like you've had some challenges with your back, so please weave those in as well. I know a lot of guys will relate to that.
Yeah, so of course started out in phase 1, which everybody's favorite, the Apex 10. I still go back to that every once in a while just to kind of prove that I can still do it. Right away, I want to say I may have tried starting with 15-pound dumbbells, and realized pretty soon after that, okay, we need to knock it down here to 10. So I didn't make it up and through. And in the beginning, I was just pretty much doing it right on my carpet in my family room, kind of in front of the TV. I turned the TV on and, watch whatever was on, if there's any hockey or baseball or any type of games that's on. So went all the way up into, phase 2, or I'm sorry, phase 2, or module 2, phase 2. And this was like around January 2022. So January of last year, I just started getting just a little discomfort underneath my left shoulder blade in my back. And really didn't know what was going on. I had my wife kind of feel around. She put some pressure on it. And she said, oh, you just got a good muscle knot back there. Let me get it to release. And after that, it just kind of woke the demons up. And I tried just take it easy for a few weeks. I'm not a big fan of chasing into the doctor every time something doesn't feel right. I just, unfortunately, I typically get well, here, try this. And if this doesn't work, come back another week. If that doesn't work, well, then we'll come back and try this. And so I went with it for a few weeks. I started out actually at a local chiropractor. And because I've had some issues, lower back in the past. And actually I have an extra vertebrae in my back too, which I discovered at a young age when I started having some, misalignments in my hip, which was causing some knee pain when I used to play basketball. So I went in for that first. I figured, well, at least I can hopefully get an x-ray if I need one. And right away, the chiropractor said, well, I don't know what you did, but you sure did something good. And he described it as I had like a rope kind of right along my rhomboid muscle by my left back shoulder blade. And he said like the muscle was so inflamed, it was a rope, he could roll it. And he thought a couple treatments, he'll have me back on track. So after a couple of visits, or actually about a month or so, and no improvements. Then we did an MRI, which really didn't show a whole lot. Little thoracic disc degeneration, which at about 40 is pretty normal, they tell me. And after that, he said, well, I can prescribe you massage therapy. So tried that for about a month, still didn't go anywhere. At this point, not only am I having pain, but I'm starting to get some kind of tingling across the middle of my back. So it's definitely nerve related. We just couldn't put anything on it to get it solved. I went through from January of 2021, or I'm sorry, January of 2022 through maybe about 4 months ago or so. I went through all sorts of different things. I eventually went to a regular doctor, got lab tests, which is, at least now I can compare my lab tests, which my last ones I had a record of from 2015 to now. So when you ask me that question about any lab tests that got better, I can respond with that. And that particular doctor he said, well, you've done everything you could do. We're going to get you in for some type of a steroid injection or something like that. I wasn't a big fan of that either. Eventually I went through with it. Got my one injection. They were supposed to do another one. The doctor that did the injection, he ended up going MIA for a while, and nobody really knew what happened to him. So I said, you know what? There's my sign. Went into physical therapy, tried that for a while. had a little improvement. And eventually I went all the way back to where I started and said, I'm going to try another chiropractor. And I got in with a chiropractor that I actually recognized the owner, that he's a coach with my son's hockey program. And I said, well, I want to give this guy some business and, give it a second chance. And he did the full entry x-rays, everything else. And they did find that, yeah, I was quite a bit out of alignment. Definitely a lot of work to do. So I went 3 times a week for 9 weeks and started, feeling better already. I still go to this date like once every 2 to 3 weeks, just as a maintenance to kind of keep this in check. And I think what happened is my body changed, so drastically, especially over the first 60 days. I mean, I was down, I think after the first month, I was down about half of my weight, 12 to 15 pounds. And just from following the meal plan, doing the workouts, and drinking all the water. So after that, and continue with that, everything's been really well. It's not 100%, but I don't have any of the tingling or any of that stuff. And that was the made me a little afraid to do some of the workouts. So I'm glad that I went through, got a second opinion, never gave up. And in the meantime, when I wasn't doing the full Fit Father program workouts, I would go when my son had practice. He keeps us pretty busy. He does travel hockey and travel baseball. So 3-4 days a week, we're always running them somewhere. And that gives me time to, go to the gym, get a little workout in. And I was consistently doing some cardio and getting in, a little arm workout, a little leg workout. But I was staying off the MRTs for a little while, just until I got things back in check. So I recently restarted, just picked up at where I left off at phase 2, module 2. And I just finished that up now. I'm starting phase 3, yes.
Hey, it's Dr. Ray. I want to quickly pause this episode to thank you for listening to this Fit Father podcast. I am just blown away at how amazing this podcast has become. I had no idea when I started FFP around 10 years ago that it would grow into such an impactful mission. And I want to let you know that I am so grateful to be connected to you in this lifetime. And on behalf of me and my entire team, we are so grateful to be in your life, helping you get and stay healthier for your family. That's what I want to share. Just some gratitude from my heart to yours. Let's get back to today's episode. Nice. I want to say what a journey. And I'm glad you got to share that, because I think it was a good illustration of taking ownership over your health and being persistent, especially when you don't get an answer right away. And also, it sounds like it was a really good testament to the power of proper chiropractic, and that at the basis of a lot of our pain is spinal misalignment, and that it does take some work. And so if anyone has pain right now, they can hear your story and say that there's hope, and maybe they should look into having someone local like your good chiropractor help get you sorted out. That's really good to hear.
Yes, I'm glad, like I said, I was persistent and just kept going after it until I got some results.
So I want to ask you, Steve, what changed with your blood work? And I guess the broader question is, what are some other non-scale victories, NSVs, that you've had on this program? Whether it's strength you've been able to display at work, workout stuff, blood work, stuff your kids and your family has said. Can we talk about some of the wins that you've experienced?
Yes, absolutely. So, preparing for this podcast, I of course, got a million things right through my head and taking notes and everything else. So, if you see me glance over here to the left, it's because I'm looking at my cheat whiteboard, which of course I wrote a lot of NSVs on there. So we'll start with the funniest one. And, my son used to, we'd be out, we'd like to go and do a lot of outdoor stuff. We do a lot of boating. And so, there's a lot of times where, on the boat, shirts off. And, my son used to always give me crap. He'd whack me and he'd say, hit your man boob or something like that. And shortly after he started the program, so probably, somewhere between that 30 and 60 days, he looked at me one day and I was doing my workout, and I probably was, pretty hot, sweaty. So I took I had my shirt off, and he's like, "Dad, you don't have man boobs anymore." And
nice.
It was kind of at that point where I was like, wow, this is a really good thing. I'm glad I found it. So that was, a couple of other things like I've noticed myself is, I've seen some pictures, some family pictures. I'm like, I don't know when the last times I saw my Adam's apple. And most people don't think of that kind of stuff because, like we all have them, right? Or the guys have Adam's apples. And I'm like, I don't even know. And I look back into some, yearbooks when I was a teenager, of course. Okay, yeah, there it was. But yeah, mine was, hiding or covered with a little layer of fat. So that was the other thing. My voice, I believe, I feel is much clearer. I used to have, some congestion quite often. Actually, there was, I used to consistently, especially in the spring or in the fall, I think, probably some allergies and stuff, is I would have a lot of mucus buildup. I don't have that anymore. That is completely gone. And everybody I know, it only gets worse with age. So it's another clear sign that this is working for me. And, I'm sure it worked for other people too. Every once in a while, somebody I haven't seen in a while, they're kind of nervous to ask, but they'll be like, hey, is everything okay? And I'm kind of like, well, what do you mean? They're like, well, I just wanted to make sure you're not, like have cancer or something because, I've lost a decent amount of weight and you can see it in my face. And actually part of my medical testing, I did actually rule out pancreatic cancer because I had some other symptoms with that back pain and some other things going on. And they were all I said, that I need to get this checked out. So as far as I know, I don't have any type of cancers. And, learning from your videos and podcast about, how sugar can fuel certain cancers and stuff. I don't have a lot of sugar anymore, so hopefully I don't ever have to worry about that. So that's about it for the NSVs. One other thing is I used to always be a little tired after eating. Your blood's rushed to digest all the food. Now that I'm eating properly and, eating a good, diet, a perfect plate, a lower carb, the Ezekiel bread on the sandwiches and stuff, I don't ever get tired after a meal. I eat my meal, and if I'm tired, it's because I just sat down for a few minutes and I've been running around for the last, 4 or 5 hours before I sat down. But that's about it. So the other things would be, the health numbers when you're ready to get into that.
Yeah, I think let's do that now. I'd love to hear about that now.
Okay. So on the health side, the biggest thing right away was, I never was really diagnosed with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, but I always had issues, even since when I was younger. We'd get a nice meal at a restaurant and I'd be hitting that, I'd be running into the bathroom before we had to leave the restaurant. Again, since eating the proper diet and balanced diet and everything, and probably the nutrition plan, I have none of those issues anymore. Actually, I was, not that anybody wants to talk about their poo, but I was quite surprised at the beginning. I was like, wow, that came up. I better, get the plunger ready and all their stuff. But the congestion, health related for sure. Didn't really have that morning congestion, driving to work, kind of like hacking and, spitting out the window. Just haven't had to deal with that in a while. Quite a while back, I had a injury where I had some, tears, meniscus tears, and I was kind of on the border about having the surgery done on. Had some friends that had similar things, and they said, you know what, it just never felt the same. And some doctors will say, I should really get it taken care of because that can irritate the joint. And other ones are, hey, if it's not bothering you, don't worry about it. It's not going to hurt anything. So I did not have surgery on it. However, after losing the weight, I very rarely notice it's even there. And actually doing the workouts, I know has strengthened, my legs where, I'm able to stabilize. Just core strength is incredibly stronger than it ever was before. So I feel that on a daily basis. I might just be like bending over the sink to brush my teeth, and I'm like, wow, I can really feel, your abs are in tune and the back muscles and everything else. So it's just really good feeling. As far as the health numbers go, so I'm going back to 2015 here because that's the last, numbers I have on record. I've been to the doctor since then, but that was the only lab results I could find. And then I had some lab work done in about a year ago, April of 2022, when we're just trying to figure out where this mysterious back muscle inflammation could be coming from. So in 2015, my cholesterol was 196, and in April last year it's 150. So it may even be better now, but I think 150 is, I don't know if you want it to be any better than that. And the LDL was, not too crazy, but 115 down to 83 last April. And my triglycerides, which is something that I always struggle with because I like red meat and I like sweets. So those two things, as we know, will increase those quite a bit. So mine used to be 186, which again, that's in 2015. So when I started this program in October of 2021, I'm sure they might even been a little higher than that. We'll just assume. Last April, they were 118.
Wow.
So the other final health thing that I could think of is when I went in to get, the muscle injection or whatever they're trying with that, I was sitting down and, the nurse says to me, she's like, "Are you feeling okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I mean, I'm a little nervous, but I'm like, I'm feeling fine." She's like, "Well, I'm a little concerned because your heart rate is really low." And I said, "Well, what's really low?" And she's like, "Well, you're like, 50, a little bit under 50. And I never know what my resting heart rate is, but it's just not something most of us typically take. So I did kind of go back in time. Off and on, I had been wearing one of those Fitbit watches, and I was surprised to find out that it pretty much tracked all that stuff since whenever I started wearing it. And I've had it for quite a few years. So I went back to find out that, my resting heart rate was somewhere between 50 and 60. And even now, it's even a little bit lower. And I feel fine. And everybody's like, "Well, if you feel fine, there's probably nothing to worry about." And so I'm just going to say that I now have a athlete resting heart rate, which, I mean, I don't know what else to call it, because like they say, if it's low and you're feeling dizzy and stuff, then you have a problem. But I don't have any other symptoms. So I guess I'm going to reach that athlete status, and I'm going to keep going with it.
Steve, that is just such amazing stuff to hear. I have like ear to ear grin hearing about all these changes you made inside and outside, from that moment when your son sees you and you no longer have the man boobs and he's like, "You got something going on now, Dad," to all the internal stuff and your strong heart now. You've really kicked butt. And it kind of leads me into my next question is, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? Where do you want to be?
Well, I can't think of the guy's name exactly, but I know on the program that there's I want to say 70, 72. He does, follows your OSN plan. And I show pictures of him to friends of mine that are big bodybuilders. And, we're all kind of like in our 40s. And I'm like, wow, I'm like, this guy is, in his 70s. I mean, how great would that be? Or let alone even, obviously that's more than 5 to 10 years. But so that's my plan. That's been my plan from the start when I bought into the program right away. And another little tidbit of information, I was, a little nervous, like, what did I buy into? Is this a legit, program? There's so many of them out there, get this in so many days and do this and that. So after I joined the program, I reached out to a friend of mine that a school friend of mine that I'd recently kind of hooked back up with. He was moving from Pennsylvania back to Wisconsin. And he's really been big into the fitness and the CrossFit. And I said, "Hey," "you'll be proud of me. I'm going to start this program." And he said, "No way." He's like, "I know like the owner or one of the, so I asked him the other day, and I said, "Well, what's the name of the guy you do? Is it, Dr. Anthony?" And he said, "No, not him, but I think it's his best friend, John." So a good friend of mine, once I heard that, I knew right away that this program was legit, and I felt so relieved. And I went back right ahead and I bought, the lifetime program, because I wanted to, do the FF30X right away and, get myself to where I feel comfortable. And then of course, dive into the old school muscle program. That's my ultimate goal, is to get into that. And I think at this rate, so we're, almost in May, I think towards the end of the year, I should be there, if not sooner. I'm not real big on doing the DECA scans and all that. I mean, eventually I'm going to do one. I'm I try and conserve, some of my money, right? So I kind of know where I'm at. I don't know the exact body fat percentage, but you see from the photos, some of the guys, what they look like with 12, 15% fat. So I'm going to kind of, use my own judgment on that when I feel I'm ready to hit that OSM. But I'm thinking, like I said, probably sometime this fall, I should be ready to get into that. And as long as I stay injury free, and I always do a good 10-minute warm up of, cardio before I do any stretch, the stretching before the workouts, everything else. And that seems to really work for me.
Steve, that is so awesome to hear. And I'm really excited that you are going to get into OSM. And I also think it's such a small world that your old college buddy may know my best friend, John Golden, who actually is from Wisconsin. So maybe that is like the connection there, and that's kind of wild. And I want to ask you specifically, what's some advice that you have for new guys who are starting out on FF30X specifically?
Well, the biggest thing is that follow the nutrition plan as closely as you can. I had very good success in the beginning because I did that, for keeps us running to games and practices and tournaments just about all year round. And when we do that, of course, everybody after the game, they go to, Culver's or wherever to go out to eat. So for quite a while, everybody would be sitting there eating their burgers and fries and having their ice cream. And I'd be sitting there drinking the water and eating the bandwidth and eat my orange. It definitely, it's a big, and then you're not sitting there like, oh, I can't believe I gave in and, I shouldn't be eating this stuff. And so that's my biggest recommendation is, stick with the plan, get the workouts as much as you can. I still do not get every workout in every week. There's some weeks where I do get them all in. I'm fortunate though that I for most of the time, my occupation keeps me pretty active. So if I'm not getting every workout in, I'm still getting the steps in. I do a lot of up and down, ladders and stairs and all sorts of fun stuff all the time. So just stick to that nutrition and, get those workouts in.
Great advice. Absolutely fantastic. Now, I want to ask you in like the back part of this conversation, how has all of your effort with the nutrition, the exercise, this program in general, kind of changed you on the inside in terms of your mindset? I don't know, maybe your confidence, your happiness, your mood, just like your internal world. Has that changed as you've been on this program?
Yes. So the big thing with my mind has been, I've always been that person that, did everything for everybody. This has taught me to kind of take care of myself. And, I don't want to be greedy because I'm still there for everybody else, but it's really taught me that I'm the first priority. If I don't take care of me, I'm not going to be there to take care of the people, that I enjoy and that I love to take care of, my family, friends. And we have, in addition, obviously the 2 children, we have 2 dogs as well. So, everybody needs to be taken care of. And if you don't take care of yourself and make yourself a first priority, then who's going to take care of those people if something were to happen to you?
Yeah, that's powerful. I mean, and it's like that mindset is one that's like not selfish, but more like integrated. It's the fact that you realize the importance of your own self-care as like a cornerstone of your family and how your health is actually a cornerstone of all of your life. I mean, that's a lesson that my dad kind of had to learn the hard way. And it's so cool that you were able to use this to proactively do that and head off a path that you were heading down that would have been much worse.
Right. Yeah. It's really taught me that, there's other things in life that you may want to do. And those things, they're still going to be there. So you take care of yourself and you get to things when you can. I'm a man of many projects. I guess some might say, what's the old term? Master. I can't think exactly what the term is, but
jack of all trades, master of none.
Oh yeah, master of none. Jack. So some might say I have some masters, but I do a lot of stuff. I typically try and do any type of projects myself, which I think you may have even seen. Actually, the wall that's right behind us is the new gym that I built in my house. So when my son's doing practice and stuff, I go out, to a local gym And Shane, wherever we are, actually, you just traveled to Kansas City to visit, my father a few weeks back, and we stopped at, the local gyms out there because we can go to any one we want. So that makes it very convenient. But when I'm home, I want to use my time as efficiently as possible. And also for my son, he's really been hitting the weights, and, he's a skinny, he's very athletic, but, he's got one heck of a set of abs on him without even working out. But he's really enjoying having the weights at home. He just comes down here, he might do a couple workouts a day, evening or whatever. He'll just come down here and start lifting weights, and he's starting to see results, and he sees the results in me. So it's a good bond that I'm looking forward to having, especially once we get that OSM program, because I know that we'll be able to relate more as he's trying to build muscle, and I'm just trying to keep my strength and endurance going.
For sure. That is so cool to hear. And I think when you are on OSM, quite frankly, it's a program he could almost follow with you. I mean, it would fit his athletics. 3 days a week of full body strength training, at least in phase 1, would be awesome. And I actually want to, it segues nicely into my last question I have for you is, Steve, what does it mean for you now to be a fit father? What does a fit father mean to you?
Well, it means to me, number one, to be a good example, for others and for my family. My son, obviously, as I mentioned, is very active, and it's just proving to others, and not even in the family, friends, family, that your health is really important to you. And it's not always easy to make that decision. I mean, I still struggle with it all the time. Unfortunately, most of my workouts are after 8 o'clock at night. There's quite a few times I'll be working out at 9 o'clock at night. Either that's because that's when my son's at practice, or that's just the chance I get, because typically my normal day is, get up anywhere between 5:30 and 6 or so, and, get the lunches made and everything else, and son's off to school, and getting to work and get home. Sometimes have to do, grocery shopping and then cook a meal, and, we're eating at 7:30, and there's been a few times where it's been, 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I'm like, I think I'm just going to miss this one. But I try as much as I can to just get after it. And it's amazing that sometimes even when you get those late workouts, you think you're going to be tired the next morning from doing that workout. I always feel better the next day. It doesn't matter how late I work. And I think it's just the mental part of it, knowing that you got through it. So just being a fit father, it really shows to me that, you're in this for the long haul, and you care about yourself and your family. That's what it's all about.
Well, Steve, I got to say, this whole conversation was like a deep pleasure for me. You are a shining example, in my opinion, of what this program is all about. The results you've made have been a complete result of your hard work and your consistent effort. And it's so cool to get a glimpse into your mindset, how you've overcome challenges. I know I'm feeling very inspired by this, and I know a lot of other guys who are listening now are also feeling inspired. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of our entire brotherhood.
Absolutely. And thank you for, starting this program and laying everything out so well for all of us, that it makes it so much easier to, see the results and reap the benefits from everything that you've created. So thank you.